clear that the small intestine is the most important fixture in your digestive system, but it does not work independently. The fact is, enzymes are necessary to break down food in the small intestine. The secretions produced by the small intestine come in the form of intestinal mucus, but the small intestine does not contain any enzymes. For enzymes, it turns to the pancreas. The pancreas is a soft pink triangular gland that extends across the abdomen from the spleen to the duodenum. Pancreatic enzymes ultimately do not break down all foods. The remaining or undigested food residue in the intestine contains huge numbers of bacteria. That bacteria must be prevented from entering the bloodstream if at all possible. That responsibility belongs to the lymphatic tissue found in the submucosa, or connective tissue, found near the end of the small intestine. It works to cleanse the digestive system of impurities.
The system works much like this resource recovery facility. Before garbage is converted to energy, it has to be sorted into solids that will burn and those that won't. The garbage moves through separators where glass, dirt, metals, and other non-combustible materials are removed. It's just like the way your body separates starches, fats, and proteins into those it can and cannot digest.
The liver plays a huge role in this cleansing of impurities. It's located under the diaphragm toward the right side of the body. It almost completely covers the stomach. It weighs between 3 and 4 pounds, is 4 to 8 inches across, and is protected from injury by the lower rib cage and sternum. It is one of the most versatile organs in the body. Its role in digestion is the production of a yellow-green watery solution called bile. Bile contains bile salts, bile pigments, cholesterol, phospholipids, and a range of electrolytes. Bile salts act to emulsify or break down large molecules of fat into smaller droplets called micelles, which can be better absorbed by the body. Newly absorbed nutrients are also collected in the liver in the form of glycogen, fats, and proteins, which it stores or turns into glucose.
In essence, the main function of the liver is that it acts as a filter for the waste products of the body's bloodstream. As blood passes through the liver in essence filters out all the waste products of the bloodstream. It uses a lot of its chemicals and enzymes that it produces in order to do this.
When food digestion is not occurring, bile backs up in the cystic duct and enters the gallbladder to be stored. The gallbladder is a small green sac that is embedded in the surface of the liver. While in the gallbladder, bile becomes concentrated by the removal of water. Later, when fatty food enters the duodenum, a hormonal stimulus prompts the gallbladder to contract, forcing bile into the duodenum. The bile then assists in digestion.
Strictly speaking, the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas are not organs of digestion, but the roles they play in cleansing the body of poisons and producing hormones and enzymes that are essential for digestion make them key players. Actually, the liver is the only organ of the digestive system that the body must have to survive.
In your body, food that cannot be absorbed by your small intestine must be disposed of as waste. In your digestive system, the large intestine's primary function is eliminating undigested food residues, mucus, bacteria, and enough water to allow their smooth passage. The large intestine is about 5 feet long, extending from the ileocecal valve to the anus. Its major functions are to dry out any indigestible food residue by absorbing water and to eliminate these residues from the body as feces.
The large intestine frames the small intestine on 3 sides, and it is broken down into the following subdivisions. First, the cecum, the portion of the large intestine from which the appendix opens. Secondly, the appendix. Although it has no known digestive function, it is still sometimes classified as an organ of the digestive system, primarily because of its location just behind the cecum.
Only 3 to 4 inches long, the worm-like appendix hangs from the cecum and is a potential trouble spot. It has an extremely twisted formation and is an ideal location for bacteria to accumulate and multiply. Inflammation of the appendix or appendicitis can be the result.
The colon is the 3rd subdivision of the large intestine. It is the longest part of the large intestine and is named for the Greek word for limb. The colon has 4 parts, which include the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and the sigmoid colon. Rectum is the Greek word for straight, and this 4th portion of the large intestine makes up the final 7 to 10 inches of the intestinal tube. The last inch of the rectum, or the anal canal, is the 5th and final component of the large intestine.
Because most nutrient absorption has been done before the large intestine is reached, no villi are seen there. There are, however, a large number of goblet cells that produce mucus. The mucus acts as a lubricant to ease the passage of feces to the end of the digestive tract. It is the defecation reflex that actually gets the material out of our bodies. The reflex is stimulated by stretch receptors, which stimulate the rectum to contract and void the waste materials.
Your small intestine is certainly an important part of the digestive process, but it does not work alone. It needs enzymes to help do its job, and it receives them from the pancreas. The pancreas monitors and produces 2 vital hormones, insulin and glucagon. It also secretes substances directly to the small intestine, which are critical for the digestion and absorption of food. Food that is not completely broken down in the intestines is laden with bacteria. It is your lymphatic tissue that works to prevent this bacteria from entering your bloodstream. The liver also plays a huge role in cleansing impurities, and it is the one organ that the digestive system must have to survive. The liver secretes bile, which breaks down large molecules of fat. Your gallbladder stores this bile when it's not being used. The large intestine makes up the final portion of the digestive tract. Its primary functions are the absorption of water and the elimination of waste. The large intestine is divided into 4 sections: the cecum, appendix, colon, and rectum.